always take two, of course.
Hello, this is
Wait. Hang on.
Oh, sorry, could you cut out the first bit, eh?
Yeah, cut it off anyway. Alright.
Good to go?
Yeah, go for it.
Hello, this is the Statera Podcast number 3.
Do you want to do that again?
Statera.
I think it's focus, there we go.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Cool. Hello, this is the Statera... On 3, Statera. Hello, this is the Statera Podcast number 3. My name is Ross Johnston.
And my name's Adrian.
I had a similar experience with my couchsurfing profile yesterday.
Did you? Yeah.
I went onto it and I went to update it. I was reading it thinking, this is exactly where I was about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. Like, this is a great snapshot of my mind.
Right.
I'm not deleting this. So what I did is I copied it and I stored it in my note program. Evernote.
Oh, right. Yeah, good stuff.
I've stored it. Now I'm updating it and putting a snapshot of my current state of mind, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
It's important, isn't it? Because then you can reflect back on it and also, what's the word?
See how you've changed.
Yeah, but then extrapolate that as well into like where you want to go in the future.
Yeah.
You know, you look at that period of time to where you are now, look at those characters and what got you there, and then extrapolate those to help guide you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Do you want to, as part of the podcast, well, some kind of part of it, like not that it's going to be broadcast on it, but on that note, annually or something like this, maybe around the new year,
Have a reflection.
and do that thing together, perhaps, or individually and together. Who knows? Let's think and feel it through. But chat to, I don't know, record it or something like this, document it somehow. Our state of mind. Do it by ourselves, maybe then together
And
as a
lock
group.
it away somewhere.
Yeah, and lock it away, and then
Yeah.
next
Back
year,
to it.
look at it.
I like that.
Sure.
You know, and then
That's a
maybe
good idea.
even when on New Year's Eve when we're celebrating with whoever, we could say, you know, I've done this thing with Ados and Christos, and this is what I've learned in the last year, guys. Or even if you're talking to your partner or whatever, or talking to yourself.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking now what I'd
Like
put
a time
in mind.
capsule.
Like,
Big time, man.
Put in your
I just wish I did
current
it before.
state of mind, what has happened, what's going to happen, your plans,
Goals,
you know,
plans.
the whole lot. Just put a snapshot. Lock
And
it
you
away.
could put it. You could put some kind of framework without getting too scientific about it and rational about it. You could put some kind of framework to it, like emotional, physical, and spiritual.
Yeah.
And
Even put in drawings and stuff. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be,
drawings
doesn't have to be
as well.
words.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it could just be only drawings, maybe.
Yeah, for me it'll be play dig. This is how I sound like now. Play dig.
Record it.
Yeah.
And in a year's time,
Yeah. Both of us.
I'll be like levitating.
We're sitting here bouncing rhythms off each other. Let's listen to what we were like a year ago.
we're not even talking, you know.
Yeah.
It'll go from people watching you going, oh fuck, what's this, to everyone just be like,
Oh my god.
I can't move. Yeah.
I like the idea. Let's do that.
It's very, I think it's very important. And with that comes goal setting, which we spoke about before. I think goal setting is very important as well. Like directing yourself towards you need some sort of openness, you know, you can't be too structured, but goal setting is an important thing to help
It's a
you
bit
get
like
to those
discipline,
points.
isn't it?
It's a discipline thing, yeah. We
Practice
need
discipline.
discipline as human beings. Yeah.
And we need it as well in this present moment being of how reflective, and we're moving forward, guys, right? And others as well, of course, but we, as I'll be selfish here, and us three, we are definitely moving forward. I need to be
It's not
disciplined.
selfish, that's an observation.
Absolutely, I just put that in there just in case.
Yeah.
But I need discipline. I need motivation. That's something like a weakness.
No, it's not at all. It's just who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
Well, I'll speak on my behalf only, but I need discipline, and I'd love to share with you guys my annual or bi-monthly or whatever goals like this. I'm suggesting annually.
This is something I'm only realising just now. Like, I have not had any discipline in my life.
Me too,
and I'm
man.
realising that it's something that I need to start to bring in slowly. Like, I need
Commitment
to
and responsibility I've identified.
Mm-hmm.
Committing, not to my partner, to me.
To yourself, yeah.
Commitment and discipline is part of it. Commitment and responsibilities. And when I said this,
Committing to
somebody,
yourself, or
Yeah.
committing to, for me, this is my realisation, was that I need to have a purpose, because otherwise, if I don't have a human being without a purpose is useless. Like,
Yeah, sure.
we need to have a purpose.
self-worth.
So
man.
once you have a purpose, then you commit to that purpose.
Yes.
So it's the commitment and everything that goes along with it. It's about putting yourself into that purpose
Yes.
and creating a purpose
This is
for
for
yourself.
next podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure, man.
Right.
Definitely.
And we're still recording, so we can listen to it to trigger our.
This could be our part 2, maybe. Should we just keep going?
I have to run off soon.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Commitment, responsibility, purpose, worth, goals and all that.
It's something that is definitely important. But you need a bit of that as well. I think you need to have. I think I was probably too responsible when I was younger, and finding that fine line of responsibility versus and discipline versus having freedom as well. It's about finding. You need that fine line. You can't be too far one way or the other. I think just through my conditioning
you need one with the other.
You need one with the other. Yeah.
And
again, that binary.
Support is always good. Don't depend on anyone, and don't expect, and don't let them feel obliged.
Yeah.
But share.
How do we find that though? Is it just through trial and error?
No. What do you mean, people?
Just find your own fine line. I think it's through trial and error, but also introspection and being aware of it as well.
I think it's about the synchronicities. I think it's
being
about
aware.
Well, that least
being aware with
that,
and guiding your life through that like that. And so making sure you have the focus to be able to keep yourself, your intuition at this level where you can then just guide yourself through with a purpose. So
Sure.
you hold the purpose here and you just go.
Yeah.
So there's the openness and there's the hard work. So
Yeah.
work and you keep open and you have them both at the same time.
Sure. That would be perfection, wouldn't
It would be.
it? Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
I feel great, and I felt great at the start. I feel better now. This is medicine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Medicine for me.
It is a form of therapy.
I
almost,
need to talk like this, and share and communicate.
Can you imagine as our language evolves, how much better we're going to be at communicating with each other?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, do you know, sometimes I do get not pissed off myself. What's the
can't
word?
have the right
But I'm
word.
not intelligent enough to talk about things I want to
That's
talk
not
about.
intelligence. I think it's that
I think it is.
you have to talk your way around this thing.
That's what I do.
And
That's what I
it's
do.
because we don't have a concept for that. We don't have a word for that
to
concept.
say it in one word.
Yeah, so
or
you
one
have
sentence.
to start going around.
Yeah, so it's not
Quite
intelligence.
possibly.
It can be about being more well read,
Yeah.
finding the right word, having a fucking thesaurus, mate.
Yeah.
Extrapolate's not quite the right word. Oh, that's the right word.
Yeah.
Your intelligence is.
But often,
It's
like
there, it's
praxis, like the word
I
praxis. How do you find words like this? It took me hours to find this word praxis.
Hmm.
Researching Google.
Yeah. Well, YouTube and things
Must
like
be a
that.
word
Yeah, it helps
for
with
it,
that. Yeah.
So whereas if you go to concept, like every concept that we've said today, we can probably go through this video, at some point, and then go, oh, that concept needs a word.
Yeah.
And then you apply a word to it. That concept needs a word.
That's
Apply
a
word
great
to it.
idea.
Why don't we
And
start our
there's
own
all-
fucking language?
'cause
Let's
all
just do
That's
it.
what- I was talking about with my mate the other day, yesterday. This is what we need to do. We need to,
And all of a sudden it comes like Sanskrit. Like all this
Exactly.
podcast has come 3 words.
Exactly. Yeah.
Symbols.
Yeah,
Not
nice.
words, symbols.
Yeah, words that mean these concepts. So we say that word and sit in it, and then say that word and sit in it, and then guide ourselves through with those words.
Yeah.
This guy Dan, he knows some guys who take a lot of acid. They do it regularly. They've developed their own language
Really?
from being in that state of mind. So
Yeah,
they
right.
talk to each other now
Wow.
with this language.
Yeah.
When they're not on acid as well.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
I want to meet these guys.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, there's functional English, but then there's their language. They speak it amongst each other to get concepts and things across.
Yeah.
It's,
I often sing to myself, and even to a tune that I know, but the words are totally different.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, what the fuck?
It's the neocortex, the top part of the brain that actually makes us who we are, that makes us human.
And it's quite, our neocortex is quite a lot larger in percentage-wise compared to other primates.
Yeah, ours is heaps large. I can't remember what the closest one to us is, but yeah, it's enormous. And when the brain first evolved, there would have just been like a set of cells that just knew about and smell.
Sure.
And then after that, it developed other senses, like touch, and then eyesight, and then your taste, whatever, Sorry, smell and taste probably come at the same time, roughly. Yeah. And these other things evolve. But we've now evolved with this thing, neocortex, that we're able to look at ourselves and realise that we have consciousness, a thing that we can't even say what it actually is, but we're aware of it.
Yeah, sure.
And that is, so we're like aware of ourselves, and that's like the really intriguing bit now.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the ceremonies we've done together, there's even one that uses binaural beats,
And the whole point of that is to get you into a state of mind where you are in a meditative state. It's like helping you with your meditation.
Sure.
Music's always
great
a
tool for that.
Yeah.
Fantastic tool
but
for it.
Actually, within ceremony, everything you do is actually a tool. Like the sacrament, if you're using a plant or a substance that gives you some kind of heightened state of awareness, that is itself also a tool. And I think of all of the tools within ceremony, all the things that you use, even smudging when you walk in. Can we go through a little bit about the process of ceremony?
Definitely. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you start off. We've got time?
Got plenty of time. Okay. All the time in the world, mate.
Good. So ceremony, when people come to a ceremony, you have to understand people are walking around, everyone, myself included, we all are, with just stuff in our heads. Stuff, and we're occupying our minds. We've got our day-to-day lives to run. We're busy. We're doing things. When you come to a ceremony, it's so vitally important to drop those things.
Sure.
We don't want the outside world coming into this space. So ceremony is always started by firstly cleansing an area. So you have like a designated thing, like you might lay out some markers or something, or even just mentally. And you walk around and cleanse that space, and you can do that so many different ways. You could use like smudging sticks with smoke or whatever. It smells nice, white sage. You can use drumming, vibration, didgeridoo. You can use a whole range of ways to cleanse. You can use crystals and things like that. And then as people come into the ceremony, this is generally the case. I mean, it's not strict, as you know, ceremony is quite loose.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, very loose. But basically then as people come in, they have to be cleansed as well. So the space is cleansed. You've got a nice area of sacred space. You've put that intention into it, and that's what's important about it.
Sure.
So you've intended this space to be cleansed. Then as people come in, you do the same thing to them. You put that intention into it. And even if they don't believe it, it doesn't matter, because it's more about you placing your intention into it. So as you come into this space, things are getting dropped. Even if in their minds they're looking at you going, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Sure.
It doesn't matter, because that's brought their awareness away from their shit to the present.
Yeah.
And now they're focused and they're aware. And so then as you all sit down with this state of mind, then you go into a meditation, and then you may use a sacrament or other tools to then do the healing and the self-cleaning that you need to get in there and get out all of that shit and see the darkness and go in there exploring. So that's basically a ceremony, to sum it all up.
Yeah.
But the core of all of that is intention.
We'll do this again sometime soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks very much, everyone. And any questions or queries or anything you'd like to add, please let us know. And we'll see you next time. Thank you. Thanks very much, mate. That was awesome. Yeah, really, really good. Yeah. What did I tell you? Time flies, doesn't it? It's an hour and 17 minutes.
Yeah.
It's an hour and 15. Yeah. Turn this recorder off now. Yeah.
Talking about interesting stuff is easy.
It is, isn't it?
You know?
It's fascinating and quite easy to do, yeah.
Cool. This is great. I really like what you're doing. This is
Thanks, mate.
good work.
Oh man, I've just got so much. I mean, we spoke about this before. I've got so much benefit out of podcasts, and it's learnt so much. I don't watch TV anymore.
Yeah,
that's just for putting documentaries through or the odd movie. But when I was in London, I had the very fortunate opportunity to meet a guy. His name's Nick Gregoriadis, but he's called himself Nick Gabriel. He used to be on this podcast called London Real, and he did a story about his time in Peru with the group of people I've now become friends with, like the year before me. And he invited me over to Peru in November last year. That's how I ended up there, and getting to meet all these people. Anyway, he was at the ceremonies in with the Kashnau tribe that we did in London recently, and this is a guy, like this podcast that he did about his experiences had like 100,000 views. He's one of the most well-known Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world.
Cool.
Really well-known guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I was like, this guy's giving me so much. I wonder what it's going to be like when I finally meet him, and is it going to be weird or is it going to be division? Like, we just bonded straight away and ended up being sat next to him in ceremony. Like, this is a guy who's fucking really well known and has influenced a lot of people positively in the world. And there I am, and him and I just became brothers.
Yeah.
You know, we did truly become brothers, and we caught up a couple of times outside of, you know, after that ceremony. And podcasting's given him a lot as well. And, you know, he's got his own podcast now called The Journey, which is really good. And I really think it's a medium that's really helping a lot of people and helping society in general as well. Really do.
I think that for me, Joe Rogan is the example that I like to use, because he's reaching an audience that, you know, that previously would just not, like, his overlap between, like, we'll say, all the kind of the out there stuff, the comedy and the mixed martial arts, and the overlap that he and the audience that he's able to bring into some topics
broad
that
range of
previously
people
never have looked at that stuff. I think that's an example of the power of it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got fighters who never have thought about doing ayahuasca or any of that hippie doing yoga or fucking any of that. Then they're actually, wow, what's all this about? You know, and it's bridging gaps between different parts of society who are usually being differentiated.
Big time. And like one of the problems that I think that we have is, you know, we segregate society into these different groups, and we go, oh, those are the jocks. The jocks, like, you know, the nerds, you can discuss this stuff here, and the jocks wouldn't be interested in that. But that's rubbish.
Yeah, sure.
Interesting stuff is interesting to anybody who's interested in stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It is, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the big thing that's come out of it for me with Joe Rogan and guys like Aubrey Marcus and Nick Gabriel. Nick Gabriel was actually on Joe Rogan's podcast. That's how I first found out about him a couple of years ago. But like before I started getting into like this more spiritual side of things, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I thought, and before I sort of found out about Joe Rogan and what he was doing, I thought that to become, like, as a man, to become more spiritual and start meditating and doing yoga, it somehow means that you become effeminate, that you become like, you lose some of your manhood because of that. And there's this new type of man that are coming through now that's like, fuck no, I'm still going to enjoy watching fighting and enjoy sex, and, you know, if I want to get drunk, I can still do that, but I'm going to lead a life that's still honest and has a purity about it. And I'm going to tell my fellow brother that I love him, and I'm going to hug him, and I'm going to go do yoga, and I'm going to do meditate, and I'm going to fucking talk about it as well. I'm going to express that, because that just makes someone stronger. The way I believe it just makes it even stronger.
Absolutely. It's
really
creating
does.
It's balance.
Yeah,
and
it's creating that balance that wasn't there even 5 years ago.
It was. We've confused the ideas of masculine and feminine with male and female.
You're exactly right. Definitely.
And everyone is masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
By your very, you know, by the fact that you come from the creation of a man and a woman, you know, you will have traits of both. Sure. But your sex organs might dictate genetically what you might be, but even genetically, you know, obviously we still have female DNA, etc., in parts of us, but even on a conscious level and a subconscious level as well, each and every individual has a balance of that. Not a balance, but a mixture of male and femininity and masculinity. Yeah. And I think what we're seeing now, like things around the feminist movement, is a lot of the time where females are being injected with some of the traits of masculine, you know, power and self, you know, and going out and claiming your place in society, like a very kind of masculine energy. Yeah. And that's cool. Like, you know, we need. Yeah, well, that's an important part too. I think for a time we needed feminism. Yeah, definitely. Now I question, one of my controversial opinions that I like discussing with people is that I think feminism has served its time. Couldn't agree with you more. And now it's time for feminism to, you know, women are now at a place in society where you don't need to be more masculine. You need to help males develop more femininity. Sure. Yeah. That's working with males and males working with females to help better each other. Yeah. Yeah. As opposed to this idea of feminism where it's like males are the problem because you've taken away our power. Sure. And it's like, okay, granted, and I recognise that me as a white male, it's very easy for me to have opinions. I'm like the least oppressed group in the entire planet. Exactly. We're pretty fortunate being a white male in middle class society. Like, you know, winning the lottery. Yeah, fuck yeah, definitely. But I think the time has come for some changes in the ideas around what feminism and what equality, you know, should be working towards I won't even say we should be working towards equality, because I don't think we can have equality.
No.
I always say, as long as men can't give birth to children, we can never be equal.
Sure.
We can't.
No, sure.
But what we can be is balanced and fair and just.
Yeah. Yeah, towards each other. And
yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, there was a period of time there where it was so male dominated that we needed feminism, like back through the 60s and 70s. And it was so important, and it has brought a lot of advantages to some sort of equality. There's some sections of feminism that did take it too far, I believe. But generally, all in all, it seems to have got around to a point where it started to find a middle ground. We're really starting to get there. And I feel like over the last few years, we have found that middle ground. And I've got this big belief in like rediscovering our archetypes, like rediscovering our male archetypes and rediscovering our female archetypes, but not so necessarily based on males needing to be purely masculine and females needing to be purely feminine, but having these new archetypes set up where you can be male, you can be masculine, and you can be female, and you can be feminine, but doing so in a way that's not taken away from the other person. And it's really up to us males. I wrote a couple of pieces about it on my Facebook site that really I think a lot of it's going to come is down to us males to do that, because we still have the power in this society. Yeah. We really do. And but the feminine and females in general have so much to give, so much to offer. Really do. And we're just, the male and the masculine is not really allowing that at the moment.
Yeah.
But it is. It's starting to happen.
Yeah, I think the fact that, one of the things, around the fact that we place such a low value on child rearing, that we say to women that you're better served returning to the workplace and putting your child into care than you are being a mother or a father being a stay-at-home father. And I think that's something that needs examination.
Fuck yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's only really been a recent thing, really, too. I mean, when I grew up, and I'm sure you were the same, I mean, it was still that common held scenario where, my mum stayed at home, until I was about 7 or 8, and then she started working again. But it's not, and that was seen as being normal, and that's what to do. But now it's almost like a taboo to do that.
Yeah, see,
like down upon even.
I think that's one of the places where we kind of went a bit astray in the feminist excuse me. In the feminism movement, in that striving for equality, again, I don't think is the right. There's a point up to which where that aiming for equality is a good guider to bring you so far on the journey. But when it gets to a point where it creates that situation where women and where both fathers and mothers decide to leave their children with essentially strangers for the formative years of their life, so that they can both go and work as equals in the workforce.
Sure.
I think we kind of got it wrong there.
It's misguided, because they're looking for equality, but in the fucking workforce, in this system set up that we've just been talking about in this podcast, which is inherently toxic, it can even be described,
and inherently biased against women.
Even
because
the game's already set up for them now. It's already set up for them now.
You can't take time off to be a mother.
Yeah.
And expect to advance.
Yeah.
In this environment.
Sure.
And so that's why it's created the situation where people go, I'll take the 6 months off so I can give birth to my child, and then I'm going to pass it over to somebody else to look after so that I can get back on track and try and catch up with everybody who raced ahead while I took that time out.
Sure. Exactly. And then the thing is, it leaves like those career women who have put children aside, decided to put children aside for their careers. Generally, a lot of the time, they're the kinds of women that would make marvellous mothers. Yeah. Would make fantastic mothers as well. So that's where society misses out.
I know. And so I've mixed feelings around things like like the what do they call it? The paid parental leave scheme at the moment. Yeah. Conceptually, I think there's merit to it, but at the moment, it's it's only really rewarding rich people.
Yeah.
Like people who make over a certain threshold of money where, yes, it'll be worth their while. The other people are still going to be in the exact same situation as they were. But, it's a political pawn.
It definitely is, isn't it? It's been used as part of that. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. I'm optimistic though, Dahi. Very optimistic. We'll work it out.
I'm ultimately totally optimistic, but I'm also real and pragmatic in that. Like the biggest issue that I find is I want everything to be solved and done in my lifetime. I'd like it to be done, by close of business Friday.
Yeah.
That'd be good. If not, in my lifetime.
Sure. At least a good few years before I die, so I can enjoy that utopian structure.
But realistically, if we were to be any way authentic and say that we're authentic in what it is we're trying to do, I have to recognise that I won't live to see any of the benefit of what it is I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And I have to approach it with that mindset that it might take 800 years for us to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be a deterrent for me doing it in my lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love the movie Cloud Atlas.
I was talking to a friend about that today. I've got to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, dude, that is so good. That for me, it really moved me. It kind of, because there's this thing of multiple timelines and kind of people in different, having a cause throughout different times, that it's I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Do you know what we should do? I'm just thinking now that because we spoke about setting up a movie night at someone's house, and it was like, well, I don't have a TV, and my friend doesn't have like a proper TV. I was thinking, why don't we do something like we did with the A Awakening screening,
that would be awesome.
And we'll screen it there. What do you think? And then we'll just get like a bunch of people together and watch it.
It's a long movie.
Yeah, it's 3 hours, isn't it? But what better way to do it than amongst a bunch of people? And if they want to go outside and have a smoke or get a drink, then they can do that too. In the settings of the Velvet Lounge.
Yeah, I'm keen. Anything that's something.
Yeah. I
support anything that's something.
Sure.
I love that movie. I think it's remarkable.
Okay.
I definitely think like just doing my skeptical pragmatic side would just go 3 hours. Like, are people willing to sit down? I am, because I love that movie. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I think the people that wanted to go would be, and it'll make for some great discussion afterwards as well.
Big time.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I'll speak to Kelly about it.
Cool.
We'll get it organised. Yeah. We can watch it on the big screen. We'll have the warmth. We can have some pub grub if we want to do it.
Get in there at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Maybe bring us up to 10.
Yeah.
Bit of chatting afterwards.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Done. Sounds good. All right, I might turn this off now. That could have just been a podcast. So, Canis, you had a certain lifestyle. You were then diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and then I was going to say pituitary then, but yeah, thyroid cancer. You did the surgery thing, the Western mindset, scientific way, and it didn't quite work. Then you just took matters into your own hands, looked at it from the more holistic and natural way to get to a point where you are now. How would you describe yourself now and the person you are now compared to who you were in the days, months before you found out about your cancer?
Well, I believe that we mirror people that are around us, and I was attracting whatever I was, and everything was toxic. So I was toxic with like chemicals, or I was using like normal shampoos, conditioners, and all that. Like I wasn't doing drugs or anything like before. That was like my younger days back in England, but I was in Australia after that. The drug thing had stopped. We were drinking, but we were drinking at weekends. It wasn't crazy. I'd done all my damage in my younger days.
Sure.
And so I was just very toxic. Everything was toxic. Everyone I was kind of hanging around with they just weren't me, and I knew that. So there was this deep kind of like I just felt like I was trapped, and I wasn't. It's funny because it's my thyroid. It's like the throat chakra, which is your communication, and I wasn't communicating my truth.
Sure.
So it's so funny, like
it was a kick up the ass.
It was a massive kick up the ass, and now I look at everything from the energetical kind of like spiritual sense. It's like, oh my god, no wonder it was thyroid.
Yeah.
I was constantly hiding the truth from me. I was just like, I was so unhappy.
Sure.
But I was in such bad situations like that I just knew that weren't me.
Yeah.
And I just allowed them to go on for various reasons.
And that's definitely something I've heard of before, how like keeping things in emotionally, depending on what it is, actually has like a part of your body.
Emotions are so important. Emotions, it's energy. So if there's a block somewhere, you're going to get that on a disease kind of level.
Yeah.
You really are, because it's the weak spot,
Sure.
So it's the same with like the acid alkaline balance. Like you're just going to get cancer wherever the acid can go to. So it's just wherever your weakness is. It's the same as all energy and stuff like that.
Yeah, nice.
So compared to then, now I love me. Like, I couldn't have loved me because I wasn't nice to myself. Like, I was in relationships I knew weren't right for me. I was, drinking with people I knew weren't right for me. I was just doing things against my natural intuition. I was literally getting signs and being told my true self was telling me, and I was just like, fuck you, I'm gonna do that. I don't know why, but I was just going against what I knew was right. And but it had to happen, and now, I'm glad it all happened. Everything happens for a reason.
When you do a ceremony like a cow ceremony or ayahuasca ceremony, whatever it might be, San Pedro, it's really just about you.
Yeah.
It's about nothing else. It's about you and your connection to the divine, and with no...
And however you experience that, Some people experience it as a mother, like Mother Ayahuasca. Some people experience Christ during it, And it's just however you see the divine. You'll get an image which is a projection of yourself.
Yeah.
You project that.
Sure.
And it, that's how you experience it, And I think that's wonderful. I think, if you can get a chance to ever experience that sometime, I think all humanity should give that a go. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
and in whatever form you like,
Yeah. Whether it's just a meditation with a local Buddhist society or something where you can really just tune into your own inner beliefs. Really,
that's it. Yeah. Exactly. I was thinking on the our craving a connection. I think we spoke of that before in the heart, and we mentioned the loneliness that's there. One of the other things we crave, I think, as humans is we all crave a bit of structure, and the ceremony gives us that structure.
Yep.
There's a structure there. It's not just, okay, here, go meditate. There's a nice structure, and it's a discipline.
Sure.
We mentioned military before.
Discipline,
exactly, and that's a positive thing, you know. People think sometimes, you're telling me what to do and how to live or what to think, There's always a negative connotation to that, but there is a positive. Like, people crave a discipline, a structure, boundaries. Children crave boundaries, just to know where you stand. And I think I had a little thought that goes right to the core of our being. When we think of who we are beyond our humanity as spiritual beings, we're limitless. We're absolutely limitless. We see the infinite, we experience the infinite.
Yep.
And maybe that's why we're even here as human beings, because the limitless was just too overwhelming.
Sure.
So we craved some structure. So as spiritual beings, we created this reality with rules, with laws, like gravity and all this stuff. And we created this so we'd have a way to experience consciousness with boundaries around us.
Sure.
And I think in our hearts, which is pure consciousness, we crave that.
The psychedelics are, they're our microscope or telescope for the mind. And, to what, cosmology is or astrology or whatever. And I think it was Alan Watts that said about if you're doing that kind of work, you've got to take your eyes off the microscope sometimes. And you've got to take your eyes away from the telescope to actually, do something with it. It's fair enough just seeing and experiencing all this stuff, but it only means something if you're actually going to do something about it. You can just have this experience and go, wow, that was incredible, man, it's mental, but what does it mean? What's the point? And I think the point is the betterment of humanity, really. The point is understanding yourself to be a better person, to then spread that out and then, create a better society.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that is the whole point, really. Right there, what you said is the whole point. And maybe that's something, if you can discuss a little bit about that, Ross, about what you're discussing really is integration, and basically integrating this experience that you've had. And I've certainly, over 18 months of ayahuasca ceremonies, I've seen great changes in people in that time, but also in some people I've seen they're still in the same place. They've not gone away and done the real work. It's often described by shamans. Okay, this ceremony was part of it, and it's all lovey-dovey, and you've had these amazing experiences, and you've had these insights. This is just a part of the work. This is just a part of the journey. Now, the real work is to go out there and implement it. So, maybe you could discuss a little bit about that as well, if you could.
Yeah, I think that is the crux of the whole thing. I think if you just... And there are people I've met who are doing this if you just go out there and seek experiences, that's a valid thing to do. And it's interesting and it's exciting and it's terrifying and it's beautiful and it's all of those things, but that isn't living shamanically, that isn't living spiritually, that isn't living for the betterment of yourself or others. That's just indulgence. And I think, and that is the same as anything, as alcohol, food, sex, relationships, whatever. It's just another indulgence. It's another ego indulgence of just saying, I want to experience more and more and more and more.
God bless those people that are us.
What's that?
Still, God bless them still.
God bless them, yeah. And that's their journey and that's their path. And that will work its way around, and it will come to wherever it goes. But as you say, the real work, and like often the shamanic people say, is it's like a 50-50 thing. You come to it, and the other 50% is you. The other 50 is it's almost like I've found certainly sometimes from ceremony where it's almost like that group share afterwards. That was more psychedelic. That was more. That was more emotional. That was more powerful than the actual medicine. It's the shared experiences of things, and then integrating that back and having that. I'm the same. I've seen firsthand just incredible positive transformation in people from all sorts of horrific lives, life stories, and sexual abuse, religious oppression, alcoholism, addiction, just you name it, any ailment, and these people, through the correct practice, through the correct integration back, and by having a proper support network of people as well, which I think is massively important, like you say about the family, that is so hugely important to the whole process. It isn't just a singular thing. It's not take a magic pill and everyone becomes Buddha. It doesn't work like that at all. No. And that integration, for me, from my last ceremony, it was so much this time round about others. Well, I've had ones where it was very deep journeys and dark, and I've spoken about them on Hack before, about where I've gone with some of these things. But that last time round, it was literally just open your eyes, look around, look at everyone, look at your brothers and sisters, look at people, understand what they're going through, connect with them, and basically the simplest, most direct message that came from it, and was exactly what we're talking about now, is what are you doing to help other people? What are you doing to help others? Are you helping people? Are you not? When are you being selfish? And just go and do it. Just don't wait. Just go and help people right now.
Because up until then, I was always seeking for something, the truth or wisdom, and it's been a tough journey.
Sure. It is though, isn't it? It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. You get lost. There is a religion. There is, these gurus. There is self-help books, and there's people who just, I come from an atheist country. I was brought up as an atheist. So, believing in anything but science, I thought was a thing of a caveman, from the past. It's what people use. Exactly. So, we don't do that anymore. And then I've had my own personal journey where I have always been looking and looking and looking and finding and losing and finding and losing. And so like I said, I felt in 2013 that I woke up for the first time in my life. I really felt that I knew who I was, where I belong, what this life is about, and I saw things, and it was amazing, and I just wanted to continue looking for that, and this is why I created this page. And you say my page, and I always like to emphasize that this is not my. I don't feel it as my page. It is a page.
It's probably the wrong choice of words for me to say my. It definitely seems more like a collective effort.
It is a collective effort, and this is why I love it. You know, I do spend a lot of time looking after it, and in that way, it is mine. I look after it, and I love it, and I make sure that there's no spammers posting stupid things. I was quite surprised, actually. Sure. Some people like, don't you have other things to do with it? People like to spam. So, anyways, and the best thing about it, there are people who have something to offer.
Yeah.
So they create these events, and I don't know, meditations on the beach, and yoga on the beach, and walking meditation, and this, that, and the other. And there are people who are seeking, looking for something to do and to help themselves. And I think all of us, even those that are actually providing some sort of service to the community, are also looking for something and needing some sort of place where they're going to find nourishment for their own growth.
And that's the awakening right there, I believe, is that constant want from people, from individuals, to keep learning and keep understanding as well. And 2013, like, I agree with you, something definitely happened. And you can even look back, you know, everyone spoke about that Mayan calendar, the 21st of December 2012, and, you know, some people looked at it as the end of the world, others looked at it as just a change or a shift. The more I look back on it now, I think that quite possibly something occurred on that date, 21st of December 2012, where something shifted. Because 2013 for a lot of people was a life-defining year, and a lot of people went through a lot, and in Perth especially, they really did. And looking back at it now, it's like 2015, I was like, wow, yeah, 2013 was a big year. That was like an awakening year for a lot of people that I know. Yourself, myself.
I never thought of it that way, but you're right, actually. It has been. And I've been thinking about the whole 2012 and what really happened. In all honesty, I wasn't really looking too much into it back then.
Sure.
I knew about it, but it wasn't really resonating with me, or like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yet another end of the world. You know?
Add it to the list, yeah.
But from my past experience, having been through war and life-changing situations such as war and becoming a refugee, I learned not to worry about these things unless they do happen.
Sure. Yeah.
So, for as long as you are in a situation of peace and abundance, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Once that is gone, then you deal with whatever is presented. So, usually end of the world events don't faze me that much.
Sure.
But looking back, you're right. Actually, things have changed, and more and more people are looking and finding, and just because it has become, it's not enough. We've been living for decades now, looking for some sort of gratification from technology, from things, and we acquire more and more, and we need to look good and all these things, but it just leaves us empty.
Yeah, discontent,
and we all just, and technology can be a beautiful friend and can also be a horrible master, because it can disconnect you from the people, and you have this this illusion that you are connected, but when actually you are lonely and you are fully disconnected, but you kind of know what's going on, and that's all there is.
It's an illusion.
So you really need to kind of break through that and connect with real people and real events and do things and create things and step out and sit under the trees and
go to the beach
and go for a swim, and there's just so much beauty around us, and this whole life is just such an amazing gift, and it is so easy to take it for granted, just the fact that every morning you open your eyes and you have got the gift of eyesight.
Yeah.
Like, you start there.
Sure.
Take that away from yourself and you'll see how gifted you are, how lucky and provided for you are. And then when you, with that thought in mind, when you look around, there's like so much to keep you happy, to inspire you, to make you wonder and admire what's around you. But we just kind of wake up and say, oh, it's 6:30 and I have to,
and why me and all this sort of stuff.
And just always in the mind. And another thing, talking about awakening, mind is a beautiful, beautiful tool, a helper to help, it just so, and I love my mind so much. It gives me the opportunity to actually express myself, and it helped me drive and come here and does all these things I don't even have to do anything about. Like if I cut myself, it will do everything it needs to be done for my wound to heal, but it is not who I am, and this is where the confusion happens. People identify themselves with the mind and with their thought and the thinking processes, and this is not who we are. And to be able to see the mind for what it is, and the game, I mean, it's not even a game that it plays. It really is so concerned about our survival. And with this connection that is everywhere in the society, in the modern society, it's really freaking out. And I think we probably had to come to this point to actually realize, break through, because you have to hit that bottom to rise up, and look for something else. So therefore, awakening, waking up, and seeing and creating and creating something new.
And those are there again. I'm glad we're talking about this, Adrian, because I want to take us to this place where many people are very afraid of dark energies, dark forces, dark. Yes, it can really mess up the system quite a bit. I agree. But it's the same energy as the light. It is there. You cannot access the light without your darkness. We're really not afraid truly of our darkness. We're afraid of our light, because the light is where our true power is, which is right here. That is there to show individual that this vibration in you is not in balance, is not in harmony. So there's somewhere in there where there's an energy trapped in motion. So the emotion is stuck. It's not vibrating. It needs to be visited. When you're able to then view it, see it in the current state you're not, then it transmutes. So the energy wants to transmute. So they're actually best friends. And I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm going to remove the entities. Many people are walking with entities because they're in their field, in their system. But they're there for purpose. If you recognize, not just take them out. So sometimes people ask me, honey, can you remove the entities from me? I've been positioned particularly not to take them. It's been to empower you to learn how to live in your system, so that way you are very grounded in your heart, in your truth, and your chakras are balanced, your auric field. We're not taught when we start school how to take care of our energetic bodies. We're barely taught, you've done things about like food, just the food, like how to even put the proper food in our body, let alone like our energetic body, our auric field, you know. We're designed to come and live in our higher truth through our heart, working with the divine mind. Mind is very important, Adrian. But we have been living from the mind, not living from the heart, which has been living in duality. Do you see the difference?
Sure.
So when we're living from here, we have been living not from our sense. Mind is a tool, an important tool, very important tool, but we've been living from it. So we've been living from a place of, with all due respect, limitation, not full expansion. But when we come back to the heart, we're connected to the supremeness of all that which we are, and the entire support around this, which is in the fabrics of life. Then the divine mind can work with us to do its job, because this can focus. And it's like living in the heart, it's like you're in the ego's wingspan, and then when you want to use the mind, you single focus it, come down to earth, come down, to, let's say, that's how it is. But if you're just, as an ego, imagine an ego just walks, Just imagine, it doesn't fly. It can't do its job properly. And that's how it is with us humans. We're supposed to live from that incredible wingspan, come back here, go back, but stay in there. Come back and then come here, do the work, and stay back up here. Like, that means bring that energy into us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, beautiful analogy. That really is. And I really like the one you used when you were here as well about the heart, using the heart to say, be able to view the galaxy, all the stars within the galaxy, but the mind, use the mind to focus in on just that one star. Just that one.
So like when you look at the night sky, exactly. So if you look at the night sky, if you take like a little tiny telescope and you look like this and you're looking like one star, that's how the mind's job is to focus, which works with the divine masculine energy, which is so important. Focus. But when we remove that, we look at the fullness. Like when we were in the land together, we saw like the Milky Way, right? Like that is the heart. The heart is connected to the vastness, which is the divine feminine energy. There is no form. So the mind, form, and then the formless. So it's constantly this dance, which is the same dance that's in the cosmos. It's through this dance, right, that heartbeat takes place, which is the same inside our heart, right? Sure. And it is connected to the same rhythmic of all the natural, right? But when we're only operating from here, we're only operating from the vertical axis. That's it, single. So we lose sight of everything else. Then we're truly not living in balance. So then what has happened, that has been the operating system that has brought disharmony in living with Earth.
And in my eternal optimistic view of the future, I think we will overcome all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But it means getting that balance back to our tribal roots as well with the technology.
Yeah. Be really, I think it's such exciting times if they do say like we've got the two options of the ways we can go into the destruction, or we can kind of emerge into this. I mean, what would we turn into now if we did have the technology and went back to that tribal kind of way? It'd be fascinating. Yeah. And I think what the industrialized kind of age has done too is we don't have total responsibility for our lives. So we kind of give over responsibility to other people and give over...
Modern slavery, it could be argued.
Yeah. So the way I live now, I'm creating potentially so much suffering in the world just by just kind of living, and I can't take full responsibility for my life. So I would love to go back to a place where I'm living off the land and really kind of responsible for my day and for my belongings and for my community, and really aware of everything I'm doing because everything I'm doing is so important for my survival.
Yeah, definitely.
Really becoming present. You'd really be aware of what you're wasting and what you're using.
The Montessori education system, just as one very, very simple example.
Yep.
That's becoming more and more prominent.
Yeah.
More and more parents are looking at that as an alternative teaching methodology.
Sought after.
Yeah. And it's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, except they don't use the non-use of technology in the younger years. I find it interesting.
I'm not a fan of that aspect of it, but again, is the perfect model something that's objective or subjective?
Right.
Perfect education model. Yeah. That's the difficulty of it. Yeah. But again, stepping stones, evolutionary stepping stones.
Sure.
We, Jacques Fresco.
Yes.
Yep. Venus Project. He speaks about his resource, not his, but he speaks about a resource-based economy, and interviewers ask him all the time, is that your utopia? No, it's not a utopia. It's an evolving state of being. It's an evolving state of culture, of society.
Sure.
In 100 years' time or 500 years' time or 1,000 years' time, it will be there. Will something different then be 2,000 years later? If something more efficient, if something that adds greater value to humanity and Earth and all stakeholders involved comes along,
then that's what happens. It constantly evolves and grows. It's the same with any education paradigm. As we go back a few hundred years ago, where was the education paradigm there? We're getting stuck in education, aren't we? We've got to get off this topic.
That's all right, though. I've still got your book on the back of my mind as well, so we'll come back to that.
Let's go back to the book there, because we're going to get into... Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get onto the education paradigm in a future podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully soon.